of handling the question paper of 3 hours. Especially, I'll be focusing on the first part of the question paper, that is paper 1, section A. Before I move to the section A part, I'll give you a general knowledge about the paper 1. Paper 1 consists of actually 2 sections, section A and section B. Under section A, you are tested for your familiarity with the poetry, prose and drama. And in section B, you are checked for your familiarity with the fiction that you have studied. And in general, all these 2 questions test the following skills that you have acquired in your study of 2 years. So these are the skills tested. The first skill is the identification of the particular work given as an extract in the question paper. So this identification should be accurate. And secondly, your understanding of the relationship within the given extract is also tested. So here the situation, the events, the characters and the references are tested. So you have to be extremely familiar with what you have studied. In the third one, you are expected to infer meaning. That means to guess the meaning that is being given. And finally, your response is also tested. How much you have become sensitive to the issues discussed in the particular work of literature that you have studied during the 2 years. Now I am going to focus my attention particularly on the section A part. So by now you must know that for the section A part you get 30 marks. So this 30 mark allocation is given within 6 questions. So these 6 questions consists of 2 questions from poetry, 2 questions of prose and 2 questions of drama. Each of these questions has 3 sub-questions, 3 sub-parts inside. So these 3 parts test your, once again, the identification ability as the first question. For that you get 1 mark. And secondly, your comprehension ability, whether you can read and understand the given extract. For that you get 2 marks. And the third question once again test for your ability in responding to a certain literary work. They are how you apply it to your life and how you become sensitive to certain issues of life are being tested. So for that you get 2 marks. That means for the entire question you get 5 marks only. Such 6 questions will give you 30 marks. So that is quite a big sum, 30 marks. So you should be able to gain this 30 mark so that you will get a good pass for your English literature subject. So today I am going to share with you 7 tips how to gain the maximum out of this 30. So I am sure if you learn these 7 tips I am going to share with you today, you will be successful in answering the section A part of the literature paper, and that will boost your pass as well, maybe into an A pass or maybe into a B pass, a good pass you'll be able to get. So let's get started. The identification question, that means the first question of the context question is set on identifying the name of the work and identifying the author. When you do this, when you identify, you have to be extremely careful about the spellings, the correct spellings of the name of the work and name of the author. Sometimes some names are spelled in different manners, not in the common way. So you have to by heart the spellings given in the textbook itself. So carefully study the spellings, how the spellings are arranged, and study the same thing. Don't go for other versions. You have to write capital letters at the correct places. You have to be extremely careful about the capital letters which do not differ from the simple, such as S, C, X. About such letters you have to be extremely careful, because you have to write those letters bigger when you mean the capital letter. If not, do you know what happens to you? Even if you have identified the particular extract correctly, you will not be awarded marks. You will be losing 1 mark altogether at the very beginning of the question. So to avoid that, please keep in your mind when to capitalize and the correct spellings of the particular work and the author. You have to be very specific about the time you spend on each of these questions. So there are 6 questions altogether. So you should be careful not to spend more than 5 minutes under one question, because your time is limited here. For the entire question paper, you have got only 3 hours, and for the paper 1, it is advisable to spend only 1 hour, and for one context question, you can spend only about 5 minutes, not more than that. If you drag your time, if you spend more time here, you will certainly be losing a lot of time for the essays you'll have to write in the second part of the question paper. To save time, you have to be really quick. Okay, so that is time. So always keep the factor about time in your mind. Once you have answered all the 6 questions of the section A of the first paper, you have to check your answers. So, and also you have to check whether you have answered all the questions. So if you have not identified a certain extract, you can leave it out and go to the next. But make sure to circle it, or to put a question mark near the question, by the side of the question, so that at the stage of checking, you'll remember that you haven't answered that particular question. Then you can attend to that question. So while checking, you'll be coming across the questions that you have not answered and the questions that you are not sure of. So spend some time, about 5 minutes altogether, in checking and rechecking. That's essential. You should spend the first 30 to 40 minutes on this. That means the entire allocation of time for the entire section A part is not more than 40 minutes. If you spend more than 40 minutes on this, you are going to lose the battle, because you have to answer 4 more essay type questions and the section B part ahead. So for that, you'll have to be well prepared. You are not to write lengthier answers. Your answers should be limited to sometimes even a single sentence. Maximum you can write about 2 sentences. If it is not a sentence, you can just write a phrase even. And your answer should be specific. That means to the point. Don't go round the fact. Don't try to exaggerate. Don't try to over-describe. because you are losing the struggle with time. Time is quite important in answering the literature paper. So those are the 7 tips that I have shared with you. Now we'll try to practice this. And also I have to add, practicing is also very, very important. You can't do this then and there at the examination hall. You have to have constant practice. You have to practice this every day with a teacher, or maybe without a teacher also. If it is with a teacher, it is better because then you can check your answers. You have to switch on your time factor in the brain, and you have to find out, you have to practice it whether you can finish it within 40 minutes maximum. So practicing is quite essential. So now we'll see how to do this with a few examples. So first I am going to take an example from the poetry section. So this is the question. These men were born to drill and die. The unexplained glory flies above them. So the first question under this, from where are these lines taken? Who wrote them? So this is quite a familiar question. We come across this question everywhere in the question paper. So it's quite familiar. So how would you keep the answer for this question? So you'll have to say, you can start with the preposition from the poem Voice Kind by Stephen Crane. So when you write this answer, you have to be extremely careful about capitalization, because W, K and S and C of the name, all these letters do not particularly have a different shape for a capital. So you have to write these letters bigger than the other letters. W, a big W, K, a big K, S, a big S, and C, a big C. If not, if you forget this, you are going to lose that 1 mark. Second question. Who are referred to as men? So here you have to say the ordinary soldiers are referred to as men. That would be enough. It is a very short, specific answer. The ordinary soldier, or you can say the common soldier. So the second part of the second question, identify the literary technique in the second line. For this, a 1-word answer is just enough, because the question says identify the literary technique. So very often the candidates make a real big mistake. When the question says to identify the technique, they go on describing the technique as well. No need to do that. You can just say, you can just name the literary technique. So what is the literary technique that is there? It is a metaphor. So the answer for the second question is, the ordinary soldiers are referred to as men, and the literary technique is metaphor. That's all, specific and short. The third question, what is meant by the underlined phrase? So in the question, the phrase underlined is, the unexplained glory flies above them. So here you will have to describe it. Describing means not going on describing using about 50 to 75 words. No need to do that. You have to give the idea of this line as short as possible. But keep in your mind, you have to be specific. You have to be pointing the idea. So as an example, I can give you this answer. The glory is received by killing one another when you fight or in a war. It is against humanity. So that would do. So that is how you are going to handle the prose question. Okay, now we'll move on to another example from the Prose section of our syllabus. So this is the extract I am going to present. It is okay if I die because it is my job and I am ready for it. But you are a hero, and if you were to die, it would be a great loss for the country. Did you identify from where it is being taken? I'm sure you have done that. Yes, the first question, the most familiar question. From which text is this extract taken? Who wrote it? So, you have to directly point out the name of the work. From the Lahore Attack by Kumar Sangakkara. So here what we have observed, most of the candidates skip the article the. Without the article the, they just keep the answer. Lahore Attack by Kumar Sangakkara. Would you be able to get that 1 mark? No, you are going to lose that 1 mark because you have omitted one part, a certain word from the title of the particular work. So you have to be extremely careful about the titles also. You have to keep in your mind whether these articles are there or not. So here of course the Lahore Attack, T capital, L capital, A capital, and the name Kumar Sangakkara. Once again that problem with the formation, simple K and capital K. So make sure to write big K and big S. Right. Second question. Who speaks these words? To whom are they spoken? Two parts of the question. You have to answer these two parts at a stretch. Sometimes some candidates just forget the second part of the question. They only answer the first part of the question and they just move on to the third part. That is when checking comes in handy. If you double check your answers with the question, of course you will be able to find out your mistake, and then on checking you can write the answer for the missed ones. So check. So for this question you can say the soldier at the checkpoint speaks to Kumar Sangakkara. So here within this single sentence you get the answers for both questions. So here also you have to say, some candidates just stop at saying the soldier. For that also you are not going to get marks. Why? Because you are not specifying who this soldier is. So it can be any soldier if you don't specify him. We know in this particular speech that we had studied, Kumar Sangakkara is mentioning about the soldier at the checkpoint. And it is better if you can mention where this checkpoint had been. Where had been this checkpoint? It was in Colombo. So it's better if you can write the soldier at the Colombo checkpoint. So sometimes you ignore these things thinking that they are not much necessary. So you have to come out of that illusion and to keep your answers specific and short so that you can take the entire mark allocated for the question. Third question under this, what is the speaker's feeling towards the person he speaks to? Here of course you are tested for your sensitivity. How you think of this issue of terrorism and cricketers and all these things, what your attitude is. So here the important words of this question are speaker's feeling and the person he speaks to. Here of course you have to identify correctly who the speaker is and who the person is. So stop for a while and make it clarified. So who is the speaker of this extracted line? Speaker is of course the soldier at the checkpoint. And who's the person he is referring to? The person he is referring to is Kumar Sangakkara. So if you do not clarify this in your mind, sometimes you may go wrong. So then the answer should be the speaker has respect towards Kumar Sangakkara admiration, high regard, affection, and adoration as well. So you need not to write all these words. You can select, you can go for the best one and keep a single answer for that. So that's on prose. So now I'm going to move to another question based on a drama. This is the question. What a way to reason. A man is in desperate need of his money and she won't pay it because, you see, she is not disposed to attend to money matters. That's real silly feminine logic. Did you remember where you had studied it, where you had read it? Yes, you have got it. We'll see. First question, the most familiar question once again. From which work is this extract taken? Name the writer. So what is the work? From The Bear by Anton Chekhov. The Bear, mind that the article the is there. Capital T, capital B, and in the name capital A and capital C. Make sure to write correct spellings. Second question. Who speaks these words? To whom are they spoken? Who's the speaker? The speaker is Smirnov. To whom are they spoken? Now here, this is a tricky question. So as soon as they ask to whom are they spoken, you in your mind search for the other characters. So you have a big chance to go for the wrong answer. Here of course you will think that Smirnov is speaking to Popova. No, it is not. He had not spoken to Popova by these particular expressions. No, he was speaking to himself. Especially in dramas, you get such expressions. So, you have to be extremely careful when they ask the question, to whom are they spoken? Sometimes these words are spoken to the speaker himself. So, you'll have to keep your answer as Smirnov to himself. There can be another accepted answer also. Sometimes you can write Smirnov speaks to the audience, because in a drama that is a dramatic technique the dramatists apply, speaking to the audience, sharing a feeling with the audience, sharing a secret with the audience. So the correct answer can be either Smirnov to himself or Smirnov to the audience. Okay. The last question under this, what does the speaker mean by the expression, that's really silly feminine logic? So here you have to display your understanding about this particular utterance. That's really silly feminine logic. So here you have to write a little bit. That means maximally about 2 or 3 sentences, not more than that. Keep it in your mind. Popova's argument is compared to women's words, the words of women, which are considered by the writer as meaningless, stupid, senseless, illogical, not rational, not serious. So you need not to write all these things. So I have just forwarded to you the possible answers, the possible correct answers. So you can just keep 1 or 2 answers. Smirnov is here speaking about the ideas of women and condemns the ideas of women, thinking that they are stupid and senseless. You can say stupid and not rational. So something like that. So now I have discussed with you 3 particular questions from 3 particular areas tested for the section A of paper 1 of the English literature paper. So I think by now you have gained a good understanding about that section of the paper, and I hope to discuss with you the section B and share with you some more tips. Okay, till then, goodbye.